Film School. We're going to dial it back and do something a little bit different with you this week on Film School. And, of course, we like to bring in Film Study Professor, our good friend, Joe Fortunato with us here on 93.5, 1590 WAKR. Joe, take it from there, my friend. What do you have for us today?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ray. And like you said, we do have something a little bit different. We don't often do animated movies on this segment. We have a few times, but we're going to do a big one today. We're going into the Wayback Machine to celebrate Cinderella, the Disney classic from 1950, which is celebrating its 75th anniversary this year, if you can believe it. It premiered in Boston, in the city of Boston, on February 15th, 1950, so this week, 75 years ago. It was released to a wide audience later in March. This movie had multiple directors and writers, which was common for Disney in those days and just animation in general. Same with the cast. It was an unknown cast, also common at that time. It's not like nowadays where they would have big celebrity voices and stuff, but just to give some credit, Eileen Woods voiced Cinderella and Verna Felton was the fairy godmother. The movie was nominated for 2 Oscars, both musically. So the song Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo was nominated, as well as the musical score and sound. I guess 3 Oscars. I should correct myself there. The American Film Institute listed this number 9 on its greatest films in the animation category. So, highly esteemed film in that regard. Now, Walt Disney hadn't really had a hit since Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was 1937. So a little bit of a time back from that. At this point in time in the late 40s, the Walt Disney Productions was $4 million in debt and was on the verge of bankruptcy. So the production of this film Cinderella was regarded as kind of a major gamble on Disney's part. And fortunately, it was a spectacular hit, became a critical success as well as a commercial hit. And basically, it helped reverse the studio's fortunes. Because of the profits from its release, this gave Disney the cash flow to finance their whole new slate of productions, both animated and live action, establish its own distribution company, enter television production, and the big one, began building Disneyland during the decade. So in a lot of ways, Cinderella really saved Disney, and not coincidentally, probably it's why the Cinderella Castle is the logo, or the old school logo of Disney. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I never realized that the Cinderella movie is really the building blocks of all of Disney.
I mean, you can certainly look at it that way from a financial standpoint. And it was the 3rd highest grossing film of 1950, behind a couple of good ones, King Solomon's Mine and the Academy Award winning All About Eve, which we'll have to do that one of these days.
Yeah, I love that.
Anyway, Walt Disney had the resources after the war to kind of start up full-length animation, which they didn't before. Another thing I mentioned about establishing distribution and stuff like that, the other thing that was novel about this movie's release was this was the first Disney film to have its songs published and copyrighted by the newly Walt Disney Music Company, which is a big revenue stream, moving forward. And this is before movie soundtracks became, merchandisable, and movie songs had really little residual value to a film studio. And if they got released at all, it was usually just, for sheet music publication. The prince is never called Prince Charming in the film, nor is he ever given a personal name. So that's sort of something that we kind of make up over time.
With us, Joe Fortunato again, Cinderella. Boy, and Joe, this was the trailblazer, right? Because now when we look at the animated movies coming out of Disney, it's one every couple of months. I imagine this was a little bit, rolling the dice a little bit with a full animated movie.
Well, I mean, rolling the dice was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I mean,
okay.
This was rolling the dice in the fact that if it didn't do well, the studio might go down. But it was a critical success, and get my words structured here. One of it was sort of like the bridge in 2 generations of movies, animated movies for Disney, because with Snow White and Fantasia and Pinocchio, that was sort of the golden age of Disney animation, where quality and artistic success was big. And then kind of after Cinderella, it wasn't that they were bad. It was more of a factory and less artistic and experimental, and more commercial in nature. And Cinderella kind of represents both of those eras a little bit. Ironically, this isn't the first Disney version of Cinderella. During his early years, he produced a silent. He had short silent films, and one of them was Cinderella in 1922, a silent film as well. A couple of a little hard to talk casting, in an animated thing.
Yeah.
But a couple of interesting things that Walt Disney told his animators that he wanted to animate Lady Tremaine, Cinderella's stepmother, and portray her as, quote, Joan Crawford gone mad. And on the other hand, Ingrid Bergman sort of served as the inspiration for Cinderella's design a little bit. Now, there was a sort of celebrity adjacent type things. Dinah Shore was once considered for the voice of Cinderella. And there was a popular legend that Marilyn Monroe was the physical model for Cinderella. Now, that's not true. Legends are sometimes hard to tap down, but the fact that Monroe wasn't connected with Walt Disney Productions at all and was pretty much an unknown in 1949 when the film was in production kind of negates that rumor. But yeah, it's kind of fun to think about it.
There you go. Cinderella. I love the background on that show. I did not realize the importance of the animated movie Cinderella. Well done. Film School.
Yeah, very.
With
I'm
Joe.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there you go. Film School with Joe Fortunato. Anything else you wanted to bring up with the audience, Joe?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. A couple of things. One, just a reminder that in just a couple of short weeks, believe it or not, I will be doing a lecture on the history of the Oscars, and that is at the Green Branch Library, March 1st at 11 a.m. This is a free event. Everyone is welcome to come. I encourage you all to come down. It'll be a lot of fun. And also, this is a long time coming, but with all of my, Fortunato Film School events and this segment that I do with you weekly and podcasts and things that I'm on, I finally have a website. So I can direct people to a website which is, a little bit more about me, a little bit more about Fortunato Film School, and most importantly, an events page so everyone can kind of see, what's going on and partake in some of those. That is joefortunato.net. Once again, real simple, joefortunato.net. And if you go there, you can learn a little bit more about what I do. And again, most importantly, you can see the events that are coming up, including this Oscar history lecture.
I can't wait for the Oscar talk, and we talked about that last week, that Joe and the Oscars is his Super Bowl, man. He gets into it, he has parties, he has fun, and he does it none better than Joe analyzing the Oscars. So I'm looking forward to that talk in the weeks ahead. My friend, thanks for making time again. Great job again with our film school, and we'll do it again next Friday.